that is not in real life.
They just always say, like, Mom, they'll be like, Mom, when's like, or is that real life? In real life? Like, actually in real life?
In real life.
I don't like doing this, but like not in real life. I'm like, what? Yeah. I don't know. They're weird.
We're back.
I'm gonna make a compilation of you doing that for every episode. Because you do. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with Hormonal Human. I'm Elisa.
I'm Stephanie.
And we're back for episode 4, which is 5. Episode 5. We're back for episode 5, and we're calling this series Current Events. Why are you making that face?
I don't know.
Oh.
See, I have to be careful of my facial expressions because in my head I had something to say, but I'm trying to look at my computer. I don't even know the face I was making. Anyways.
Yeah, we're doing a series of current events where things that we find on the internet or in the news, whatever kind of comes up, is going to get put here.
It could be hormones. It could not. We don't know.
Yes, but it's usually all attached.
Yes.
So going off of our plan, our loose plan, today we're going to start with, we want to hear about your Nixit Cup experience, because last time we talked about period products, the fact that they weren't ever tested with blood and how that was shocking, and how and in our period episode, we talked about how many new things there are that are just way better that didn't exist before. So we want the details, because I obviously did not try it yet.
Right.
I will be influenced.
I will get you one. You can't borrow mine. Yeah, it was interesting. Like I said, I had done some little blips on Instagram of how the experience was going. I love the concept.
We'll save those in the highlights if anybody missed the like in real life live stories. We'll save them in the highlights.
Except one of the ones, the filter, I thought it just because I was in the car and I tried to I did not know it was going to turn out like that. It's a little scary, but that's okay. So periods can be scary sometimes.
Where did you buy it?
So I've actually bought it at Blush Lane.
Was it online somewhere?
Marta Loop. You can buy it straight from the website. And
it was timely. You needed it right away.
I had no time to wait. I was like, my period is coming either today or tomorrow. And so I had to get on it. And yeah, I love the concept of it. I think that it is genius. And what I love about it, and I had kind of researched a few, is that the nice thing about the Nixit is it doesn't rely on a suction cup like a lot of the other cups do. Because I have been told that can create trauma to your pelvic floor. And after 3 children and 40 years old, that's the last thing I need. I think when it comes more trauma, nobody needs more trauma. I think it's more aligned maybe with moms who have had vacuum births. Witch Hunter, my oldest, was a vacuum baby. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna try this out.
Somebody just tell you this? Where did you find this information?
I was just told to me, and so
from a friend?
From a friend whose her doctor told her that.
Okay.
Because she was researching.
We need sources and receipts. So that's all.
Yes. And so anything is just from my experience and how I took everything. Yeah. So first day, I just tested it out because I knew that I wasn't leaving the house. But usually the first day of my period, I've got a lot of cramping, but not a lot of blood. It's more moving into either later in the day, the night, or the next day, where my period is actually quite heavy and always has been. Mm-hmm. That was going to be the test. So day one went off pretty good. I took it out at some point because I was just seeing if I could. It took a while to get it out and trying different things. But what I realized what I was doing is I was leaning forward on the toilet to try and get in
Yep.
there. Like, this isn't for the faint of heart. You got to get up there, girls. But what you actually should, or worked for me anyways, is I leaned back, which pushed my pelvic forward, which
Mm-hmm.
made it easier for me to grab it.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they tell you to do is there's like a little lip and you stick your finger underneath the lip and you pull it out. I don't know if because I have nails that
Mm-hmm.
made that harder, but what I found worked for me was in fact lip going over top and
Mm-hmm.
kind of pulling down and then trying to get my thumb in there as well so I could grab it and pull it out. Now, with doing this, because the whole concept of Nixit is it sits at the base of your cervix and you tuck it underneath your pelvic bone and it just sits there like a dome and it's just sitting there collecting blood and it can hold up to 40 mils of blood. And so when you break that barrier, the blood then comes out.
You open the floodgates.
You you literally open the floodgates, and it can either. One time I did it and I only got my finger dirty, and the other few times it looked my hand had been cut off. It
Mm.
was covered in blood. So you need to create a process for yourself. So I felt that like we have like a door that closes into the toilet away from the rest of the bathroom. So I had to leave that door open. My pants are down. I had to get the toilet paper ready. So because you've got all the things, you're dripping blood, and now you've got to make it from the toilet to the sink to clean everything. Now, what I think you could do is get your finger in there, you know, pull it down, excuse me, lean forward and let it drain a little bit
Yeah.
and then take it out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that next time.
Okay.
The first morning, okay, nighttime, amazing. Didn't feel it, didn't leak, didn't nothing. It was so good, loved it. Took me half an hour to get it out the next morning though. And this was before I figured out the hook over and thumb and lean back and da da da. I literally was going to call you. I was like, do I use
Tweezer.
tweezers?
This is when we
Do
talk about
I
where the
like
tweezers.
and I'm like, I was digging in so much, or I'm like, am I creating trauma already with just what I was doing in there? Like
Yeah.
pulling on things I shouldn't have been pulling on. I almost started crying. I was so frustrated. I was a little
Oh.
hungover, so that also
Mm-hmm.
did not help the cause.
Mm-hmm.
So then fast forward. So it says you can wear it for 12 hours depending on how heavy your period is. So the next day, and I won't go on through all the days, but these were the most like interesting days.
Just the highlight.
We, yes, we, I leave it in all day and I think I might have put a tampon in the morning. I was so traumatized by trying to get it out that I put a
Yeah.
tampon in. And then probably call it around 10 a.m. I was like, nope, I'm going to commit to this. This is what I'm going to try and do. So I took it out, put the Nixit back in. Well, we went out for dinner that night. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I've got like a good 10 hours. Well, I was sitting at dinner at our friend's house and
Mm-hmm.
I felt it leak. And so I will say I did wear either period panties or a panty liner the entire time, just in case. We're just feeling this out. Don't know how long I can wear it for. Don't know the ins and outs of it. So I go to the bathroom and oh yeah, like I'm full on leaking. So I proceed to take it out. It comes out actually quite easy, but it is messy. I am now in my girlfriend's powder room trying to do all the things. I clean it, put it back in, go back to regular programming to have another girlfriend call me aside and say, can you come with me for a minute? Walk me into the powder room, and there is a little splatter of blood on her cabinet. in her powder room. And she says to me, "Is this you?" Yes, yes, that very well could possibly we may need to do some DNA testing, but chances are that is me. So that was a bit horrifying.
Yeah.
Again, we're like day 2 of this. I'm just learning. By day by day 3, 4, 5, my period isn't as heavy. I've kind of gotten the hang of it. I definitely am going to use it again,
Okay.
and I encourage people to try it. Um, I think on my heavier days, I would just have like while I'm home, have a midday, you know, release, like, or for women who are working when you get home from work. Like I think depending on your cycle. So yeah, I would give it 2 thumbs up.
I'm proud of you for sticking through it.
Thank
Like
you.
after
I almost did.
like the first like tough
Yeah,
go to just be like, screw this, I'm not trying it.
I
But
will be honest, I didn't work out in it.
yeah, I don't know if that would really do anything
It wouldn't. And I watched many YouTube videos on this thing because I was trying really
though.
hard to find good ways to take it out. This woman had played 2 soccer games, and was totally fine. And soccer, as we know, is a very rough sport. There were moments I had to adjust it, but no big deal. Like just get in there, tuck it back a little bit, and push it in behind your pelvic bone. But yeah, I didn't wear it on Monday because I was playing tennis.
Oh,
And as you know, I have to wear all white. And so there was no room for error. So I just wasn't willing to take the chances on my first try, but I definitely think it would be fine.
well, maybe.
So yeah.
Why I'm so like not like I don't know. I saw. Well, first of all, I want to say too in our DMs, Nixit was on it right away. They were like, "Let us
Oh,
know how it goes
yes.
for you. Let us know if you have questions." Which is like I don't know when these big brands won't like just figure it out how much that little stuff means. I had it's a Canadian company. Monday, no. Anyways, it's like these bars. I can't remember what they're called.
Mm,
I posted on my social about them, and some like a real human responded, just saying like, "So happy, thanks for supporting." And it was like, "Wow, like fan for life now." So
yeah.
kudos to
And I
Nixit for
totally, and I did say that in one of my highlights, but I was really impressed with the customer service. Again, I don't know who I was speaking to, but immediately when I said that we were going to try this and I had bought it and tagged them in it, asked me what my name was, just if you have any questions. And then they did do a poll, which I actually haven't seen yet, of women, and maybe they didn't get any responses, but women of what tricks they use to get it out. Because clearly I've been stressing about that part. Um, and just super, super supportive. And I think when you're trying a product like that, where you're very unclear and you get a little pamphlet like, there's no YouTube videos of showing somebody sticking it in. You're not allowed to do that. And so,
I mean, you shouldn't, but you know what I mean? It's like for the things that are on the internet.
right? Like this is very educational. Actually, the one girl I did watch on YouTube, I think she lives in the States, but she was hilarious to watch. And like, she actually was very like
Send the link for that video.
graphic. I will. We will list this, and we will list this product again in our what do you
Yeah,
call them?
show
In
notes.
our in our show notes. In the show notes.
Put it in the show notes. It's really
Um,
important.
yeah,
Yeah,
so I think of anybody who has been thinking about trying it, try it. I love the idea of not ever having to buy tampons again, to be
the
honest.
caveat of like maybe also wear like a panty liner or get period panties. I would do
Yes,
that anyways. Like we said, like when I'm closer to getting my period and I start spotting, I just wear them.
totally. Or like at the very end of your period when you're
Yeah,
like really not bleeding anymore, but you're kind of.
shouldn't be
And I
sticking.
would say on my heavy days, I wear period panties because I literally soak through a tampon in an hour sometimes.
I am curious to see if your flow changes at all.
Changes.
Yeah,
You've said this.
I know. Because I'm just curious. I'm just
Well,
curious how your
because
body.
I think for me with the period panties and just wearing the period panties, getting used to the sensation of the blood actually coming out, I don't think I can get my head around that. And
Yeah,
for me, that was like because my period's so heavy, and then it was this like pure like fear that I was leaking.
yeah,
And so having this and not feeling that and not, yeah, just not like the like if you didn't bleed in your tampon and you pull it out, you're not, what was it? Vaginal lesions? What was
yeah.
it that we talked about? Yeah.
It was like micro tears or lesions.
Micro tears. Yeah, I was like,
Awful.
okay.
But
Anyways,
I
and
think
I mean the whole toxin thing. I mean, we, I
TSA,
drink, so really, is that what I'm most worried
if we can
about?
remove as much as we can,
Exactly. If you can
if we
make
can
this
make it a
smaller,
let's make a
yeah,
small shift. Everything's got its catch 22 to it. But
100%.
even that sensation like you're talking about, I always say, just I drink a ton of water. I think I said in that episode, like I think I put
Yeah,
in my body that like the blood comes out when I'm going pee. It's
yeah.
crazy. You
I
gotta,
need
I
to
mean, you
drink
should
more
be drinking
water,
some water anyways.
right? I'm
And just
so bad at
remembering to
that.
go to the bathroom. But well, I'm proud of you. That's like I said, that's something that
Thank
I'm
you.
nervous about doing.
Oh,
Um,
and you can have sex with it. Not
yeah,
that
that
I would do that.
did you do
Nope. Nope. But, and no,
that?
I will not try it. But you can.
Yeah.
It is
Interesting.
possible, which is different from the normal cups because this one sits
Flat.
higher than because the
Okay.
normal cups sit in your canal, and this one sits. So if you think of like this is your canal, I don't have anything here that would.
Oh, the canal.
This is your canal, the vaginal canal, VC. The cups sit right here, whereas
Yeah,
the Nixit sits here.
like
So
right
there's nothing
below
in
your
your vaginal canal. I just wanted
vaginal
to say it
canal.
wrong. No, I prefer vaginal. 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 It's in the vaginal canal.
What are you trying to do? Okay. Oh, also, we have, I don't know if I shared it. There, we like, we're talking about a chart comparing. Were we on an episode? I remember I went into ChatGPT and I made a chart comparing the
I know
different
we
things.
weren't on an
We were still
episode,
on a
I don't
regular
think.
phone
I
call
think.
talking about it. Okay, well, I'll find that and I'll put that up because it compares. Let me see if I can even just find it now. It
Yeah.
com- it compared different cups and discs. That's what the other name is. Oh
Yes.
yeah, it's here. It's in my Excel spreadsheet because that's how I operate. Yeah, it compared like the material it's made of, if it's medical grade silicone,
Yes.
polymers. Like what? Some of them are
Yes.
not specified. The Nixit isn't specified, but either is the Diva cup. Duration of use, like how long you should use it, capacity, which I found was interesting. Like you said, 40 mils. You're like, it holds 40
Hmm.
mils. Like, do you even know what that means? Like, I can't visualize what that means.
No.
But we did talk
No.
about, because I was like, the can is 355 mils. So it's just a smidge. What else did we talk about? If
Oh,
it's
you had
reusable.
like a little like bottle, didn't
Oh,
you,
yeah.
somewhere?
This,
What is
did
that? 50
we
mils?
not have an episode of
Oh,
the
maybe
meter?
we did it on an episode.
But I feel like I didn't see it when I watched back. How were we just on a call? And I sprayed myself with it.
Yeah, I think. But did we record that call? Did we
But
start recording that call?
I feel
Anyways,
like okay, I know what happened. I tried to screen record because we were just having a phone conversation, I think.
yes.
But then the sound didn't work because I didn't have the microphone on. So it was just,
Oh, that was a
I
good
did it.
conversation.
This one's 50 mils.
Exactly. So think.
And because then I did this because it's cleans the
Yes.
aura.
Great.
Um,
I need more than 50 mils to do that.
Purifying mist. Anyway,
Um,
I created this spreadsheet that we'll share. Ease of removal, moderate. It's interesting though that the Nixit and the Diva says not specified. So
for what? All the things?
for a lot of the things, but that just pulls from like what's on the internet. So who knows
Fair.
how it
You
will.
can't always trust that.
No, you absolutely cannot. So
Um,
any
yeah.
any final thoughts?
No, I liked it. I was like, it was super easy to insert. comfortable, like just very bendy. Um, yeah, 2 thumbs up for me. I'll
Okay.
use it again for sure.
I love it.
And I'll even keep you posted on the second go around. You're gonna have to wait a month, but the second go around.
And I'll let you know if I do try it. My
You
period isn't
should.
that heavy, so it's like,
Well, then it might even be more perfect for you.
yeah, just leave it in.
You could leave it in all day. Don't have to think about anything. You're not
Yeah.
changing tampons. You're not changing
Yeah.
pads.
Like it would
Go.
be really good for like if you're at the beach or at the lake or something.
Oh, swimming. Oh my God. Why have we not like, because
I
think
don't know.
about it. Tampons get wet when you swim,
Yeah.
and then
It's
they're
like the water
basically,
travels up that string. And we know that they've been tested on water, so they're super absorbent of
and
water.
then the blood comes
Yeah.
out.
How
And
many times you go to the water and you're like, you're on string duty.
yes, but
You're there.
also I just do not go into the water
Yeah.
because it's, you
Which
know what I do when on at our lake? I bring a tampon, and I literally, if I'm like, okay, it's so hot, I have to get into the water. I love the water. Wrap a towel around me, take the tampon out, put it into a plastic bag, and reinsert, because
it's
there
so
is like
it
a
just
time. Yes, it's horrible. So this would, because we talked about the period bathing suits, and
which I don't
I don't understand how those will work. This
and
would be, I will 100% wear this in the water. I can't even believe I didn't think about that. Yes,
yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Very excited for my period in the summer now. When I get to wear a bathing suit. Can't wait.
Even though I feel bloated and gross, but maybe we'll solve
Right.
those things too by the time we get there.
Right?
Okay. So the next thing we had on our list to talk about is you went to an event recently that
Yes, I
was
did.
being held by a local company here that
So
I'm
it's
go
called
ahead.
Aeon. Am I
Aeon.
Aeon? Okay. It
And
was Dr. Jonathan Bastain,
what were
and
they talking about?
he is the
Do you have
medical director there. So he was like talking about optimizing women's health for longevity, wellness, and performance. So, kind of the things that he talked about was changing the perspective on aging and in women's health. So, what women really need to focus on, and what we should be doing, starting at 35, like, and this is kind of what we've always talked about. So, getting your baseline hormones tested. Well, this is where we've all started with this, is that we need to have an understanding of where our hormones are. Yes, do they change every day? 100%. But you can get a baseline of what they are and an indication of kind of where you sit.
um just went to that consult about my skin, and that studio had brought in a naturopath, and the gal
Yeah.
who's getting skin was like, she just did the test. I can't remember what it was called, but she had to. It's I think it's a urine test, but I've heard of spit test. But anyways, she took it like day one of her cycle and also day something other because you need
Yes.
to like the difference. But I
Yes.
also want to look up online hormone tests, and I want to do them all at the same time and then compare the results. So keep that in the.
Okay.
So, anyways, sorry to interrupt.
So yeah. So um he says this too because it's hard to measure hormones during premenopause because we're all over the place.
Yeah,
So you want a baseline going into it. This is
yeah.
the being proactive that we're talking about. Sleep, super important. So he talks about tracking your sleep and why it's important. Measuring sleep via the Aura Ring, which I use, which is this little ring right here. So if you haven't heard about it, it is a ring. It has sensors inside of it, and you have an app, and it tracks your sleep and your like your caloric burn. It
Did
can
he give
track
them?
my.
What if you don't have an aura ring?
There was also, well, he said he used the Aura Ring or an 8 pod mattress, which is more accurate, I think, for your sleep.
So
It is
what are the takeaways you want to know? Like, I'm just thinking.
So it is important because sleep is the most important pillar of health, and it is quality and duration impact cortisol activity with secondary functions around insulin, weight gain, etc. So I think it kind of is determining of where like your how much REM sleep you're getting and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. And what the nice thing is too with the Aura Ring is that even if like, we're not going to give up alcohol. There's just, I mean, I'm not. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm not. I've decided. I'm going to try and like I've done really good. I don't drink during the week. But what I do love about it too is that okay, 1 glass of wine doesn't affect my sleep. 2 glasses of wine. No, it doesn't really affect my sleep. Okay, but 3 glasses of wine. Now I've seen my heart rate has been elevated all night. I've less in REM, less in deep, more in
Yeah.
light, and like so that's sort of thing. So that's going to set off your cortisol levels, and that's what makes it hard to lose the weight or your insulin levels, and then your hormones are all over the place.
Yeah. I think what's interesting, especially with the sleep conversation, um, is as women, we get such a short end of the stick
Right.
because especially speaking to more so mothers,
Mm-hmm.
and once you have kids, when you have those
Never
little
sleep sound again.
when you're pregnant, your body literally trains you to be prepared to not be sleeping through the night. And then you have them and you're not sleeping through the night. And there is a study somewhere out there of how many years you lose by not getting the appropriate amount of sleep. And sometimes I look back to that time, and we're going to have another episode on postpartum life, because I look back to those times in my life when I was not sleeping and how your brain cannot function.
Not function.
And then on top of that, if you're not eating right, which most new moms aren't because they don't have the skills or the ability to or energy to, get all the food going. There's so many things to manage. It's just so interesting that sleep is such a basic concept, but people are doing
Right.
it so poorly, so
Yes.
often, right? Going to bed, staring at your phone, sleeping with your phone right beside your head,
Yeah.
going to bed super late, even I think it's recommended that you go to bed and wake up at the same time,
Yeah.
even on weekends when,
Yeah.
people, there's so much to it
Well,
that
like can anybody who's struggling with anxiety or depression, it amplifies it. When you're not
with
sound of mind, right? Like with lack of sleep. When you think of like women who are in postpartum
yeah,
and you're
yeah,
not sleeping.
yeah,
I mean, from the education I've had in sleep training
yeah,
for infants,
you
I've
are
seen
sleep.
I am a sleep trainer. I know a lot about infant sleep,
Mm,
but I mean, I think it can pertain to adults as well. And
yeah,
I see these mothers and I immediately I'm like, ooh, I'm never one to diagnose postpartum and I'm not educated to do that, or qualified. But when you're not getting the right amount of sleep, you cannot, there is no way that your brain is working properly to even control those emotions
no.
more so than whatever hormonally is going on.
But that's just it. It affects your hormones. Shocker. Everything we're learning affects your hormones, which sticks you up.
Right. And
Yeah.
so he just made like he was like
What
sleep,
else do you talk on? So he
sleep
said
and
sleep.
stress. Okay, sorry. And then
You can
nutrition
download it.
diagnostics
I'm gonna look at it.
and oh my God, I love it. And it's cute. I get compliments on it all the time. I'm like, thank you. It's just more than just a ring. Counts your steps.
Gotta get those steps in.
And then obviously nutrition. I think that's a big one.
Do you
Tracking
have
your
a
macros.
recommendation? Yeah. What did he say? Like you should eat
Yes,
more. You should eat
tracking
this.
macronutrients and
It's a lot of work.
micronutrients. Um, this just helps identify deficiencies and areas of improvement for optimal health. Pairing this with continuous glucose monitoring. So he did talk about like labs, and you should, if you are going to do a lab, you should do the fasting insulin glucose one because that gives you a better baseline, not having any sugar in your diet, like like a
Well,
fasting.
so that's the opposite of the one you do and they recommend you do when you're pregnant.
Yes. Yes.
When you drink a thing of
Ew.
gross water.
Whoa. So gross.
Warm.
Um, Going back to labs, 10% of women have iron deficiency anemia. Um, so you should be having your iron. I know I'm deficient in iron.
I
Um, yeah. So he talked about that. He talked about protein. So they're back to nutrients. Protein intake, typically a minimum of 1 to 1.2 grams of protein to kilogram. So basically, a gram to pound. So you eat a gram to how many
yeah.
pounds you want. So I would eat 140 grams of protein,
I would eat like 110. I'm just kidding.
right?
You
That's
definitely get
half of my body. And then it what that does for you is muscle maintenance, and osteoporosis prevention. So protein is required for muscle mass. We know that. Collagen, often found in lean proteins, help to support your bony matrix, and it can help absorption for calcium. It helps with weight loss. Did you know that protein stimulates the same hormone as Ozempic?
I didn't
Um,
know that
so
at all,
it makes you feel more full.
but I knew that. I didn't
Yes.
know it stimulated. You said it stimulates a hormone that does it?
GLPI, the
Hmm.
GLPI hormone. It
That makes sense.
decreases glucose spikes in your body. So less glucose spikes prior to meals, less glucose crashes, with like secondary cravings.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be super awesome when we get a dietitian and hormones in here
Yes,
because especially our generation, well, no, and every women generation before us, we have been lied to again and again about our bodies, about what we should be eating, about what we shouldn't be eating, new fad
totally.
diet. Like
Yeah.
how do we have any clear indication of like we've been told like sugar's bad, carbs bad, this bad, don't have this. Even today, our cousin sent us a video of this woman, and it was like this really well, I'll link it, um, really well done video, saying, I have people coming in all the time, women coming in having issues with like hormonal breakup,
Estrogen.
estrogen, and it's because they're eating hemp seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds. Like these are superfoods, and the studies have been all wrong. Blah blah blah. And I was like, it's this type of dogmatic
Yes,
preaching.
because now a woman is going to never go and eat hemp seeds again
I'm gonna
and
see
chia
that one
seeds.
little snippet and be like, oh, it must be the
That
chia
must
seed.
be me.
It must be my chia pudding. Can't ever.
Totally.
And I'm like, it's not a blanket statement of one covers all. A, B, this scare tactic of if
Yeah.
you do this is bad. And then
Then
I
go
like,
onto my page and
yeah, I went on her page and it's like she sells a diet plan to help you lose weight. And her last video, it was like, look at all this cellulite. This was me after 75 hard, thinking I was doing all these things right. And I'm fat and chubby. And I'm like, she's like, I'm 147 pounds. And I'm like, she looks like a normal human. And now you just made, I was like, are we not better than this?
right?
This is the internet. I mean, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Because the alternative to that point is also humans eat a balanced diet. Just because
Yes.
another video says, oh, hemp hearts have protein and omegas in them. That's great. Just don't eat them like every meal all the time. Like
And
have a
guess
well
what?
balanced meal.
Your body is different than my body. Then
Also,
that's what different than that person's body. So you can't just do a generalization of like this will work for you because it might not. So
and
anyways, I'll get through all of this. So hormonal imbalance, protein also contains peptides. The breakdown products of protein. It carries huge number of action ranging from singling proteins to being able to building blocks of like neurotransmitters. So it helps with your hormonal balance. He talked about hormones, heavy lifting. Every woman should be heavy lifting. It gives you so much goodness in your life for longevity. You want to be hiking with your grandchildren at the age of 75? Start lifting heavy weights. Cardio training obviously is important for your heart and metabolic system, but heavy lifting, it changes your hormones to your leptins. It's cardio, too much cardio will start to eat away at your muscle. It decreases your muscle mass, which results in decreased metabolic rate.
Now saying it all in
Can
real people.
I talk today? Muscle mass maintenance for longevity. Over time, women lose 1 to 2% of muscle mass each year after the age of 50. So it is
Not
so important for you to be lifting weights. Functional
and fueling your
movements,
body so that
yes.
you
Protein
can
heavy
lose weight,
lifting.
right?
So
How
yeah,
funny the opposite of like historically. It's like do cardio, don't eat carbs. It's like you need to fuel your body. And like you said, it's different
totally.
for all of us.
Yeah,
Take everything with a grain of salt, but listen to your
totally.
body. Eat whole foods, eat real food, and eat a lot. Like I
Yes.
saw the funniest video. I'm gonna have to find it to share it. But this woman gets on and she's like, well, it's 2024. I had all these plans. I might have said this already. Might have had all these plans for hobbies this year, but I realized I'm not going to be doing any of them. All I'm going to be doing once I learn how much protein I have to eat. And so instead of knitting, I'm going to be blending up chicken breasts so that I get my
Yes.
protein taken because it's actually a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
And not that I don't count my macros, but the benefit of at least tracking your protein. This is like kudos to my trainer Magda. She was like, start with protein. It's easy and it's very important, and it will get you in the habit of being aware of what you're eating.
You actually learn too how much, like, what is protein
Start
that
looking
you
at
didn't
labels
think.
totally different. You're like,
Yes.
I got how much of this to get that much? Or you're like, wow, there's that much protein in that? Sweet.
Yeah.
So
He touched on supplements. So women's health stack. He said creatine. Now I know that's a bit more of a controversial, but I
don't know.
heard a lot more positive things than negative things.
We're gonna need somebody to talk about it.
We did post a video from Christy Stewart that her son had a concussion and the doctor had suggested that he takes creatine because it can help the brain. So
I think
again,
one of the most, like, there's all these supplements you can take. Of them all, I think creatine is one of the most highly
yeah. So
on that
not an expert, but
on that note though, even with this stuff, I have to look into it. I always have like a list of questions, and I do put those in the show notes. But a lot of studies that they use for this kind of stuff are done on men, are not done on women. And so,
well, and funny enough, I think the
the hemp
doctor,
the this, the that, the
yeah,
studies that they be pulling from might not even be from women's
it's a
health.
man's world.
What time
Anyways,
is that going?
I don't know. I just made it up. Vitamin D, omega-3, and B vitamins. Those were the top, which I think are pretty. Anyways, it was a full talk. It was so great. Talked a lot about estrogen and progesterone and kind of understanding all of how those affect your body. We are having somebody come on. We're interviewing later about basic hormones, and she'll probably touch on a lot of what I learned, and so I don't want to get too much into that. He talked a lot about her HRT, so hormonal replacement therapy, which again is very controversial, and I think what he was kind of saying is like, what is the reward to what's the word? Risk. Thank you. Risk to reward. Like, sure, there have been these studies that maybe 1% chance or whatever it is, but what is the reward to it? Because somebody who has really struggles with anxiety, well, maybe it's my hormones. Maybe it's something that maybe it's a low estrogen and I just need to, and that makes you all better instead of just throwing me on antidepressants, whatever. So
I think that's such an interesting topic. And when I was pregnant, somebody recommended I listen to this or read a book called Expecting Better. And everybody who'll listen to me, because I can tend to get on a soapbox about going through pregnancy, I listened to it. Anyway, she used to be an economist. And so her whole history was in data, understanding data. And her big thing when she was pregnant was I got into the studies of all the things. So, when you're pregnant, they say don't have coffee. It's like, okay, well, how much coffee? What study did it?
exactly.
How many people did they test on that? Or even alcohol. It was like the test means, and I'm not at all saying you should drink alcohol when you're pregnant. I'm just saying when you start to look at the studies, it was like
Balls on it.
like chugging vodka or like getting wasted, but like, just to understand what that's like, did they
Hmm.
study 100 people? Like, that's not a very good study to then blanket statement all these things. And
Hmm.
so it comes to that risk reward, which then doubled down, like all the things they do when you're pregnant, you should have informed consent and choose what you want to do and what you
100%.
don't. Because then when I was going through chemo treatment, right, there was a lot of things you had to go through, the risk and reward. And Dr. Pyatt, who was my naturopathic oncologist, and he's flippin' amazing. I can't talk about that guy enough.
We'll put him in the show notes.
Uh, he was the first, like, he kind of brought up that whole idea again. He told me a story of, this family where the daughter had to go through this treatment, and there was only like there was a 80% chance like she could die from it. This is not the right story or the real words, but he was like, did they do it or did they not? I was like, well, yeah, there's a chance it'd save her life. And he was like, no, they didn't, because the
Hmm.
risk was way greater than the actual reward, where she could have just lived out her life.
Totally.
That's not, it was
Yeah.
something around the lines. And I think with anything, you really have to discern get all the facts, right? Not just like the snippets,
Yeah.
and based on your personal preference of where your risk toleration is, because for some people it might be a lot higher, but
Yeah.
I just wouldn't take anything at face
Yeah.
value.
So yeah, the talk was really great, and
Right. So
we can for sure tag Aeon. They do your whole panel, and they have somebody that will go
yep.
through your hormones with you and help you with hormonal therapy. He talked about the benefits of estrogen, or progesterone, what it looks like if you have deficiencies,
Yeah.
anxiety, insomnia, irregular cycle. Weird. Okay, all three got them. Benefits and deficiencies of estrogen. Um, Hormonal changes impacts on mental health, which is so important. I just touched on that earlier. I felt I felt anxious, and I was anxious all the time. I was waking up in the middle of the night, and then let's just throw her on
Yeah.
anti-anxiety meds, which was horrible for me. I got off of them immediately, but not immediately because it took 3 months to wean myself off of them. So yeah, little things like that about how you should be looking more into your hormones. And that's basically what he was saying. And
Yeah.
I was very informative. I really appreciated it.
I'm curious too if people approach their GP and just said, I want to get my hormones checked, would they
But
be
the
like,
thing is I don't think that your GP do the right ones. I was speaking with somebody yesterday about this, is that there are so many markers that the GP will do. Like, I don't even think GPs test your vitamin D. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I don't
oh, well,
think,
I know I got mine tested. Why did I do that? But Dr. Pyatt put in a request for me to get it. Oh, to make
yeah,
sure, because wait, they say they recommend 2,000 milligrams a day, but that's not true. And for everybody, it's actually
it's
different. And you have
different.
to figure out
Yes.
what your max is.
Yes.
Um,
So I'm about to do this blood test that, like, you go in and you click on it and it tells you your level and what it could be doing to my body. And then you click on it again and then it tells me what I can be taking to help and do the things that I'm going to do. So I'll stay tuned for that. But I don't think your general practitioner will do those things for you. You have to request, but I think you have to pay for it.
which is why people
Anyways.
do preventative health. That's the other
Doesn't
stuff.
make any sense to me.
Well, we're running
So
long. We just
yeah,
got something
we
about.
got into it. So
Yeah, get hyped up.
anyways,
The last thing we're going to talk about is this TikTok trend, the magnesium drink. My friend Maria, a Food by Maria, posted about it, and I was like, this looks like fun. Not because I don't really have trouble sleeping, but it was just curious mostly. And it essentially is like a mix of tart cherry juice, concentrate, you can get it, and magnesium. And you can put other stuff in there.
is it
But
liquid magnesium?
liquid? No, it's
Liquid lava?
powder. I know Maria has the moon juice one. I had one called Calm. I already had it in our house. I used to take magnesium for a while. I'm kind of off like all the things.
Oh, I take magnesium every single night.
Yeah, it's like, and there's lots of different ones. You got to make sure you're taking, because they all do something different,
Yes.
right? I was
I
taking
was
the vitamin.
surprised magnesium wasn't on his list.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
after the fact, I thought I should have asked him that question, but I didn't think of it at the time.
So anyways, you mix them all together. So I did it for 2 nights. But then on the second night, I looked at the sugar content in the tart cherry juice that I had, and it was so high that I was shocked that I actually could sleep. Because like I can't have sugar close to bed. I'm like a 5-year-old. Like I can't have sweets late at night. And I can't have pop, not chocolate. I will not sleep. But
I can't
I
have
did sleep.
coffee afternoon.
Cannot have coffee in the afternoon
No,
unless I'm on holiday. But anyways,
unless I want to stay awake.
like I don't know. The other caveat to me too was my 5-year-old was coming into my bed at like 3 because she was having nightmares. So I'm like, I don't know. I guess I fell asleep quickly, but it wasn't. I mean, and nothing is ever like this magical thing.
No.
And even then, if it's a placebo, I don't really care.
Maybe if you have to do it for a long period of time.
I don't know. I also want to see if I can find a different tart cherry juice
Well,
concentrate.
what
One
does
that
Maria say about it? Does she love it?
she says she falls asleep like instantly. When I did it and I was like up still, she was like, something's not right. You should be more.
Girl,
But
it is that sugar.
yeah, maybe. But I mean, it didn't keep me up though, which was interesting. Maybe I'll do it again tonight and see if there was like a real switch up.
Well,
But
maybe it
I
was
think
like the balance of the sugar.
yeah, because I think tart cherry is supposed to make you sleepy, and magnesium is relaxing, which I knew that.
Bring it to me. Bring me all the things. I've been sleeping so horribly lately. Okay, well, keep us posted what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I love that kind of stuff, right? Any way you can, I don't know, kind of hijack the system or get it in you. Like you even said collagen, right? So I have a protein powder that has collagen in it. Like kind of stack the habits or, take advantage. If
That
you're
is
going to have a drink.
That is one thing I'd like to know more about is collagen because I do not take it. Well, that's for another episode.
When you hit 30, women, you lose 1% of collagen. It might
I
be
heard
more
that.
every year. You lose it. And
I believe it.
don't think topical collagen really does anything. I think you have to ingest it. I also don't know, somebody will know, if powder versus liquid collagen has different effects.
Right. Well,
there's different grades. There's
if you know a lot about collagen, let us know.
I know quite a bit.
Well, not you. We want like an expert.
What do you mean? This has collagen in it. That's what I'm saying. Like if I can get it in, I'm holding up a golden hour soda water, right? If I'm gonna have a soda water in the afternoon, this one has aloe and collagen in it, no sugar. Collagen creamers are great if you're gonna drink coffee or something like that, which I know you're off the soft right now.
Off the fiend.
Did you try that Dandy blend?
Not
I
yet.
saw something in there. Did you get some though?
I did, yes.
I love Dandy blend.
Yes, a girlfriend of mine at the gym. She is, her name is Jamie. She is I believe a nutritionist. And anyways, she told me to try it. I just have not tried it yet.
So good. I love it. It's dandelion root.
Yes,
and it's ground
I knew you used it.
In coffee. Again, Marianne told me about it. Gotta give credit. And so in the afternoon, if I want a coffee, I have that. It's really good for your liver.
And it doesn't have caffeine in it.
No caffeine. No. Some people don't like the taste at all, but I actually really enjoy it.
I feel like I've tried it from you and I didn't like it, but
I'm sure you'd get used to it. It's like not awful.
Do you want to be drinking something that's not awful? No, I don't drink coffee for the caffeine. I love it because it's creamy and just smooth and so delicious. But I had a headache for 11 days when I went off of it. Bad headache.
How much coffee were you drinking?
1 cup a day. Sometimes 2.
I have 1. I can tell when I have coffee because it's so much more caffeine in it.
Yes.
Nothing worse than a coffee gut ache. You always have the 1 glass and then you're like, oh, this is so good. I'm going to have another.
And it's never worth it. No, never worth it.
Now I feel, now it's like, now I'm just like shaky.
And feel bloated and like heavy.
I might shit my pants.
Exactly.
It's awful. Don't do it. If you think about having a second cup of coffee, just message us and we'll tell you not to. Okay, well, yeah, we have some interviews coming up.
Yes.
When this one comes out, this one's actually after we would have already had our first interview, which I'm very excited about. Also, of course, if you ever want to be interviewed, just slide into our DMs. I honestly haven't checked our website if anybody's filled out a form in a while. I'll do that today. but just send us a message and we'll get in there. It's
There, I
free.
just had a moment. I was like, we have a website? I knew we did, but there
Hormonalhuman.com.
was a moment that I was like, what? Yeah, we want to know all the things. We want to learn because we're obviously just speaking out of our asses at this point and just trying to learn with you. So
Yeah.
if you actually do know about the subject, let us know.
Yep.
Or if we're
Call
ever
us out.
wrong on something, yeah, call us out and be like, nope, that actually is incorrect.
Yeah.
But you
I
better
love that.
back it up. Yeah.
This is the last thing I say. Some guy was talking about protein. Oh, it was
Mm-hmm.
Alex Hormozy made this disgusting bowl of like protein cereal with like those protein milks in it.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, like eat real whole food people. Like don't
Yes.
just rely on like those kinds of
If it
things.
comes from a package,
Like they're good when you're in a pinch or like to get you
totally.
up there.
But it's not a
Anyways,
thing every day.
somebody commented and was like, "This is fake. There's some like max. You can only absorb so much protein, like 30 grams of protein at a time." And then it was like over 100 comments of people being like, "That's not true."
Right.
And so had you only read the one comment, you'd been like, "Oh, I didn't know there was a max. I couldn't do that." So, anyways, right? Discern everything. Always like
Yeah.
kind of pick through it.
We're here to learn.
Figure it out. Gotta learn. It's all about the more you know, the more you grow.
Because guess what? Next year it's going to change. They're going to tell us something completely different.
It's exhausting.
It is exhausting. God.
We're going through the slides. I think my eyes started to like glaze over. I was like, what did you say? Peptides is glucose levels.
What?
Okay, well, thanks. We'll see you next time, friend.
Later.
Later, losers.
Later, losers. Sister from the same mister.